The call came at 9:47 p.m., 3 words that shattered his composure like glass. "Come get me!" Zara's voice cracked through the phone, mascara-stained and broken, while her sister's wedding reception pulsed with laughter she'd never be part of. Park Min-jun's fingers tightened around his phone, every instinct screaming to burn the world down for the woman they'd spent 26 years destroying, and as he signaled his crew to move, he made a silent vow. Tonight, the Williams family would learn what happened when you made his woman cry. Welcome to Afro-Korean Nation, besties. Please like, share, and subscribe. 8 months before the wedding, Zara Williams had been elbow-deep in ganache when she felt eyes on her. The kitchen of Kang's upscale restaurant in Koreatown hummed with tension. Armed men lined the walls, watching her catering team with predatory awareness. She didn't flinch, didn't falter, just kept tasting and adjusting until the chocolate sang the way she needed it to. "More vanilla," she murmured to her sous chef, ignoring how the security detail tracked her every movement. "And someone explain why this buttercream split." From across the room, Park Min-jun watched her command his kitchen like she owned it, confident, focused, completely unaware that she'd just walked into the lion's den wearing an apron and determination. His second-in-command, Dae, leaned close. "Boss, you're staring. Find out everything about her. I can get her file from—" "Not the file." Min-jun's voice was quiet, lethal. "Everything else." 2 hours later, service ended, and Zara was wiping down counters when expensive shoes appeared in her peripheral vision. "Stay for dinner." She turned to find him, tall, dangerous, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her car. Her professional smile clicked into place. "That's kind of you, but I need to get home." "I insist." He stepped closer, deliberate. "Your work deserves to be celebrated." Zara checked her watch. 9:15. Panic flashed across her face, brief but unmistakable. "I really can't. I have to be home by 10. Something about her fear made his instincts sharpen. "It's 30 minutes to Queens. You have time." "I really don't." She was already gathering her things, movements rushed. "Thank you for the opportunity." She left, practically running. Every man in the room felt the shift, their boss going still, focused, predatory. "Find out who makes her run home at 9:30 on a Thursday," Min-jun said quietly, and why she looked terrified. The next 3 weeks, Zara's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Every event, every function, he requested her specifically. The pay was absurd, triple her normal rate, and he didn't negotiate. Just sent contracts with numbers that made her business partner choke on her coffee. "Someone likes your cooking," Kesha said, looking at the 5th booking. "Someone likes throwing money around," Zara corrected, but her stomach fluttered traitorously. At each event he was there, watching her work with intensity that should have been uncomfortable but wasn't, asking questions about her process, her inspiration, her dreams. The conversation stretched longer each time. 6 weeks after they met, he stopped pretending. "Have dinner with me," he said after an event, his staff cleaning around them. "Not business, just us." Zara's heart kicked against her ribs. "I don't think that's a good idea." "Why not?" She could have lied, should have lied. Instead, honesty spilled out. "My family won't approve. You're not black and I'm not their version of acceptable anyway." Something dangerous flickered across his face. He stepped closer, not touching but close enough that she could smell his cologne. "I'm not going to date your family, Zara." Words that rewrote her world. "Okay," she whispered. Their first real date was at an intimate French restaurant in Tribeca. Min-jun ordered half the menu without asking, told her to taste everything and choose what she liked. Zara's instinct was to demur, to eat light, to not be seen enjoying food too much. Years of her mother's comments had trained that reflex bone deep. The duck arrived, perfect sear, cherry gastrique. The smell alone was poetry. She took one small bite, set down her fork. "You're not eating," Min-jun observed softly. "I tasted it, I'm fine." "You made food for 60 people today." He leaned forward, Where was yours? I ate before. Zara. He slid her plate closer, cut a piece of duck, held out his fork to her lips. Eat. I want to watch you enjoy something. Her eyes burned. My family says I enjoy food too much already. Min-jun's hand clenched around his knife, muscle jumping in his jaw. When he spoke, his voice was deadly soft. Your family is wrong. Eat. She took the bite, then another. His eyes tracked every movement, something hungry and possessive in his gaze that should have scared her. It didn't. Tell me about them, he said. The wine helped. So did the way he listened, like every word mattered. She told him about Patricia Williams, former pageant queen who'd never forgiven Zara for being born curvy. About Dr. James Williams, the surgeon who funded everything but felt nothing. About Naomi, the golden child, and Kennedy, the accomplished one, and Zara, the disappointment who played with food instead of getting a real career. What do you mean, rent? Min-jun interrupted. For the guest house? It's fair. I'm 26. Nothing about this is fair. His fingers drummed once against the table. You're their daughter. I'm the embarrassment. Wrong size, wrong career, wrong everything. His hand covered hers, warm, solid. You're extraordinary. If they can't see that, they're not just blind, they're stupid. Something cracked open in her chest. The relationship grew in secret over the following weeks. Stolen nights, careful planning, nothing online. Min-jun learned the depth of her family's cruelty in increments that made his rage build like a tide. The weight comments masked as concern, the comparisons to her sisters, the way they charged her for everything while Naomi and Kennedy lived rent-free in family properties. He learned she'd paid for culinary school herself, that she sent her mother flowers every week and got criticized for the arrangement, that she made every family birthday cake for free and still got called selfish. Each revelation made his jaw tighter, his plans more detailed. 2 months in, Naomi announced her engagement to Brandon Edwards, prominent civil rights attorney. The wedding would be in 6 months, lavish, perfect, everything Patricia Williams had dreamed of. I have to help, Zara told Min-jun, curled against him in his penthouse. She's my sister. What did they ask you to do? Make the cake. His arms tightened around her. For free? It's complicated. It's not. His voice was gentle but firm. Families don't charge rent then demand free labor. That's not complicated, that's cruel. You don't understand. Then help me. His eyes searched hers. Explain why you break your back for people who break your heart. The dam broke. Ugly crying, the kind that came from 26 years of not being enough. He held her through it, one hand in her hair, jaw clenched so tight she heard his teeth grind. I just want them to love me, she whispered against his chest. They should. He pressed his lips to her forehead, inhaling slowly, controlling something. But while they figure that out, let me. The months that followed split down the middle, days filled with wedding chaos, Naomi's demands, Patricia's criticisms, endless fittings for a bridesmaid dress designed to humiliate. Nights belonged to Min-jun, who ordered her favorite foods and watched her eat like it was entertainment, who touched her curves like worship, who rebuilt her every time they tore her down. He noticed everything, how she flinched at certain words, how she apologized for taking up space, how she never ordered dessert despite being a pastry chef. Each observation fed the growing file in his mind, the one labeled Reasons the Williams Family Will Regret Everything. The night before the wedding, Zara appeared at his penthouse at 2 a.m., flour dusting her hair like snow, hands trembling as she set down her keys. Exhaustion carved into every line of her face. The cake was done. 150 servings, raspberry filling, gold leaf details, perfection her sister wouldn't acknowledge. He caught her hands, steadied them. You're shaking. She swayed slightly. I had to get it perfect. Something dark and furious moved through his chest. He pulled her close, felt how she folded into him like she'd been held together by will alone. You don't have to go tomorrow. I do. Her voice was small, muffled against his shirt. "One more time. I have to try. Call me if anything happens." "I will." What he didn't say, what he kept locked behind his teeth, he'd make sure everyone at that wedding knew exactly who she belonged to. The wedding day started at 6 a.m. when Zara arrived at the Plaza Hotel with the cake, 5 tiers, each one a masterpiece she'd spent 3 days perfecting. The gold leaf caught the early light as she and her assistant carefully positioned it. "Is that the best you could do with the gold leaf?" Patricia appeared behind her, already in her mother-of-the-bride dress. "It looks sparse." Zara's hand stilled on the cake plate. She'd used an entire book of 24-karat gold leaf. "It's exactly what Naomi requested." Patricia circled the table like a shark. "Well, I suppose it'll have to do." Tons of hours awake, hands cramping from piping work, burns from the caramel, and that's what she got. It'll have to do. 3 hours later, Zara struggled with the bridesmaid dress in a bathroom too small for the amount of fabric Patricia had insisted on. Lavender tulle, boned bodice designed for someone 8 sizes smaller. She'd had it altered, but alterations could only do so much. The mirror was unforgiving. She saw what her mother saw. Too much body, too much space, too much everything. Her phone buzzed. "Min-jun, send me a photo." She shouldn't. The dress was ridiculous and she looked... "Min-jun, now, let me see you." Her hands shook as she took the photo, sent it before she could overthink. His response was immediate. "You're beautiful. Are you sure you can handle them today?" "Zara, I can handle this." "Min-jun, I know you can. The question is whether you should have to." She didn't answer, just tucked her phone away and went to join her sisters. The ceremony was beautiful. Naomi was beautiful. Brandon looked at her like she'd hung the moon. Zara was genuinely happy for her sister, even as something hollow echoed in her chest. "Overflow seating coordination," the wedding planner said during the reception, handing Zara a clipboard. "You'll help direct people to tables." Zara looked down at her bridesmaid dress, the one that matched Kennedy's. "I'm in the bridal party." "Yes, but your mother said you volunteered to help." The planner's smile was professional, dismissive. "The family table is full anyway. You're at table 12. Table 12, with second cousins she'd met twice. She took the clipboard. An hour into the reception, returning from directing an elderly couple, a hand closed on Zara's arm. Sharp nails, expensive manicure. "Excuse me, could you get me another wine? White, not red. Make sure it's chilled properly." The woman didn't recognize her, didn't see the bridesmaid dress, just saw someone brown holding a clipboard and made assumptions. Zara opened her mouth to explain. The words stuck. What was the point? In this family, at this wedding, what was the functional difference? "Of course," she heard herself say. She got the wine, delivered it. The woman didn't say thank you. When Zara returned, Brittany, Naomi's college roommate and maid of honor, stood to give her speech. "I want to thank everyone who made this day possible," Brittany began, champagne glass raised. "First, Patricia and James for raising such an incredible daughter." Applause. Patricia glowed. "Brandon, for being the man Naomi deserves. And to my fellow bridesmaids, Kennedy, thank you for keeping us organized." She sat down. That was it. No mention of Zara, not even a generic and the rest of the bridal party. At the family table, Kennedy leaned toward Naomi. Her voice carried just enough. "Did she just forget Zara?" Naomi's shrug was elegant, unbothered. "Does it matter?" The words hit like a physical blow. "Family photos," the photographer called. "Immediate family to the terrace, please." Zara stood automatically, smoothing her dress. This was it, the formal portraits. Physical proof she existed in this family. She made it 3 steps before her mother's hand closed on her arm. "Not you, dear." Patricia's voice was low, private. "Don't make a scene. These photos need to be perfect, and with your proportions the composition gets complicated. It's not personal." Everything went very quiet in Zara's head, that ringing silence that came right before a crash. Kennedy walked past, linking arms with Naomi. Neither looked at Zara standing there, frozen, while their mother escorted them to photos she wasn't allowed in. Zara turned, walking blindly toward the back of the venue. She needed air, needed to breathe, needed to not scream in the middle of her sister's wedding. She found a quiet hallway, pressed her back against the wall, and tried to remember how lungs worked. "There you are!" Patricia's voice made her flinch. Her mother appeared around the corner, champagne in hand, that tight smile still in place. "We need to talk." "Not now." "Yes, now." Patricia set down her glass. "The guest house. We're renovating next month. You'll need to find somewhere else to live." The words took a moment to process. "Next month? Mom, that's—" "You're 26, Zara. Time you stood on your own feet." Naomi lived there until she was 28. Kennedy stayed even longer. "They were saving for homes with their partners." Patricia's voice went sharp. "You're not. You're spending money on that little catering business that barely breaks even." "It doesn't barely break even." "And you clearly have money for expensive dresses." Patricia's eyes raked over her. "Though perhaps you should invest in a gym membership instead. Think of this as motivation, sweetheart. To lose weight, find a respectable man, get your life together. Your sisters both married well. Why can't you?" Her father appeared then, drink in hand, face already flushed from the open bar. "Everything all right?" "Just talking to Zara about moving out," Patricia said smoothly. "She's taking it well." "Good, good." James barely looked at her. "Your mother's right. Think of it as encouragement. You need to try harder. Your sisters managed to figure it out." Something inside her cracked. "Encouragement to what exactly? Lose weight? Find a man? Be more like them?" "To fit in," Patricia said, voice ice cold. "To be part of this family instead of embarrassing it. Is that really so much to ask?" Zara stared at her mother, at her father, at two people who should have loved her unconditionally, and instead gave her conditions she'd never meet. She pushed past them, through the service corridor, out the back entrance. The evening air hit her like a wall. Music drifted from inside, laughter, celebration, her sister's wedding, the one she'd spent $3,000 on, deprived herself of sleep for. Her hands shook as she pulled out her phone, stared at Min-jun's contact photo, him smiling at her across a table, looking at her like she was everything. She pressed call. It rang once. "Zara." His voice came through immediately, concerned, alert. "Are you all right?" "Come get me." Her voice broke on the words. "Please, I can't do this anymore. I need you." A pause, then his voice, dark, certain. "I'm on my way." She was crying now, mascara running hot and black down her face. The line stayed open. Her voice cracked. "I'm not immediate family. They took photos without me. My mom's kicking me out. And Naomi, Kennedy, they just watched. They don't care. They've never cared." His exhale was controlled fury. "I'll be there in 15 minutes. Stay where you are." She sat on a curb in her ruined dress, counting down the minutes. Inside, the wedding continued. Music, laughter, celebration. She was outside it all, literally and figuratively. Then she heard it. Multiple engines, expensive ones, the kind that announce themselves. Headlights cut through the evening dimness. 3 black vehicles pulled into the parking lot with predatory precision. The lead car was a Bentley. His Bentley. Zara looked up, vision blurred with tears. He came. The car doors opened with synchronized precision. Min-jun stepped out first, moving like violence wrapped in a 3-piece suit. Behind him, Day and 6 crew members emerged, guns visible under tailored jackets, not even pretending to hide them. Wedding guests froze. Conversations died mid-sentence. Min-jun's eyes found her immediately, locked on. Everything else, the crowd, the venue, the staring guests, ceased to exist. He moved toward her and people scrambled out of his path like he was radioactive. Someone whispered, "Who the hell is that?" Nobody answered. When he reached Zara, he stopped just inches from her, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. His hands came up, cupping her face, thumbs rough as they wiped away mascara-stained tears. "I'm here, baby." His voice was low, lethal. Zara reached for him, grabbing fistfuls of his shirt. He pulled her up and into his chest in one smooth motion, his jacket going around her shoulders. Then he turned toward the crowd that had spilled out of the venue, his body a shield between her and everyone watching. His eyes scanned the faces, hunting. "Which ones?" "All of them," she whispered against his chest. His jaw went tight, muscle jumping. "Then watch." Patricia pushed through the crowd, society smile already in place, damage control mode activated. "Zara, what is this? Who are—" "Park Min-jun." He cut her off like she was nothing. "The man who's about to explain what happens when you mistreat what's mine." His voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It was the kind of quiet that made survival instinct scream. Patricia's smile faltered but held. "I'm her mother, and I don't appreciate—" Min-jun stepped forward. Patricia stepped back. "You charge your daughter rent." Not a question, a statement, an accusation. Is that what mothers do? "Now see here, young man." James appeared, doctor voice used to being obeyed. Min-jun rounded on him. "No, you listen to me." Another step forward. James didn't retreat, but his hand tightened on his drink. "You're a surgeon, right?" He moved closer, predatory. "You stood by while your wife spent 26 years performing psychological surgery on your daughter with no anesthesia, so don't talk to me about what's appropriate." Kennedy tried next, voice shaking slightly. "This is wildly inappropriate." Min-jun's eyes cut to her, dead, cold. "You're the sister who asked if it mattered when your sister got excluded from a speech at your family's wedding, where she made the cake for free." Kennedy went white. Several guests shifted uncomfortably. They'd heard that comment too. "This is my wedding!" Naomi's voice cracked through the parking lot as she appeared. "How dare you?" "Your wedding." Min-jun turned slowly, something about the deliberate movement making people back up. "Let's talk about your wedding. Your sister's seat assignment, table 12 with second cousins she's met twice, while you put your friends at the family table." His smile was terrifying. "And then, my favorite part, you excluded her from family photos, your sister, because according to your mother, her proportions would ruin the composition." The silence was suffocating. Patricia tried again, voice desperate now. "This is a private family. Nothing about this is private anymore." Min-jun's voice cracked like a whip. He turned to address the crowd, and the way he commanded the space, this parking lot, these people, this moment, was absolute. "How many of you saw Zara Williams parking cars tonight, directing guests to tables, getting wine for people who thought she was staff?" Several people wouldn't meet his eyes. Uncomfortable shifting rippled through the crowd. Min-jun turned back to the family. "She's a pastry chef, a damn good one, but you treat her like she's playing with easy-bake ovens." "Patricia," one of her friends hissed, "that's Park Min-jun, the Park family?" "Yes." Min-jun heard it, smiled. "The Park family. Let me be very clear about what that means." He moved toward Patricia again, his crew shifting forward automatically, a coordinated threat. Patricia's face drained of color. "Your husband's hospital. I know 3 board members personally. Your daughter Kennedy's practice. I'm friends with the building owner." He paused. "Let that sink in. I'm telling you this so you understand. Zara isn't your disappointing daughter anymore. She's under my protection. And I protect what's mine very, very thoroughly." "We love our daughter," James started. "You don't know anything about love." The explosion of rage in Min-jun's voice made several people jump. Zara flinched. First time she'd seen him like this, fury barely leashed, dangerous in ways that had nothing to do with the guns his crew carried. If you loved her, you would have noticed she stopped eating around you, that she apologizes for existing, that she flinches when someone mentions her body. The words landed like bullets. Zara stepped forward, facing her family. Her voice shook but held. "He's right about all of it, but I need to say this myself." She looked at Naomi. "I made your cake. Raspberry filling because citrus makes you sick. Spent 3 days perfecting it, and you didn't even look at it. Naomi opened her mouth. No. Zara's voice strengthened. I'm talking now. You thanked everyone in that speech. The florist got mentioned, the DJ, the venue coordinator, but not me, your sister. She turned to Kennedy. You asked if it mattered, if I mattered, and your answer was no. Finally, her parents. You said I needed motivation. Her voice cracked. Motivation to be someone I'm not, someone lighter, thinner, quieter, smaller. Tears ran freely now. I spent 26 years trying to fit into a family that was never going to make room for me. I'm done trying. Min-jun's hand found her back, steady, grounding. Are we done here? She nodded. Day. Min-jun didn't look away from the family. Get everything from the guest house tonight. I don't want her going back there. He turned to his crew. Anyone tries to contact her, I want to know immediately. Anyone shows up at her business. Handle it. His eyes cut back to Patricia. Phones were out everywhere now. Filming, recording, this moment spreading in real time. He turned to Zara, voice going soft again, tender. Let's go home. His hand guided her toward the Bentley, his body between her and everyone watching. He opened the door himself, helped her in like she was made of glass and gold. Before getting in, he turned back one final time. Mrs. Williams, Dr. Williams. He stepped forward, his crew moving with him like synchronized shadows. I'm going to say this once. His voice dropped to that lethal quiet again. If you try to contact her, guilt her, manipulate her, I will make it my personal mission to dismantle everything you've built, your reputation, your social standing, your careers. The smile that crossed his face was death smiling. And unlike you, I don't bluff. He slid into the car. The door closed. The convoy pulled away, leaving wedding guests and one destroyed family standing in a parking lot, watching the youngest Williams daughter disappear with a man who'd just declared war on anyone who hurt her. Inside the Bentley, Zara collapsed against Min-jun's chest, crying so hard she couldn't breathe. He held her tight, jaw clenched, still vibrating with barely controlled rage. I should have come sooner, he said quietly. Should have pulled you out months ago. I wasn't ready, she whispered. The Bentley's interior was quiet except for the low hum of the engine and Zara's ragged breathing. His hand moved through her hair in steady strokes. Did I do the right thing? Her voice was small, broken. You did the only thing. His lips pressed against her hair. You chose yourself. They're going to hate me. They already didn't love you, baby. There's nothing left to lose. She pulled back slightly, looking up at him with swollen eyes. What if I regret this tomorrow? His expression softened, thumb brushing away fresh tears. Then tomorrow we'll deal with it. But tonight you're mine, and I'm going to take care of you. She fell asleep before they reached his building, surrendering to exhaustion. He kept holding her, jaw tight, mentally cataloging every single thing her family had done, every wound they'd carved into her. When they reached the penthouse, he carried her inside, guided her to the bedroom. She stopped in the doorway, breath catching. The room was full of clothes, beautiful pieces in rich fabrics and bold colors, every single one in her size, cut to celebrate curves, not hide them. Dresses that would make her feel like art, jeans that would fit perfectly, lingerie that was sensual, not apologetic. Min-jun? Her hand covered her mouth. They're all for you. He turned her to face him. I'd burn down the city for you. She broke down again, and he held her through it. All the tears she'd been holding back for years, all the grief for a family that never deserved her, all the fear of the unknown she'd just chosen. Later, after she'd showered, after he'd given her one of his shirts to sleep in, after she'd finally stopped crying, they sat on the couch, his arms around her, city lights painting patterns across the floor. She talked about everything, years of small cruelties she'd normalized, The comments about her body disguised as health concerns, the way they'd excluded her from conversations because she was too sensitive, how they'd belittled her career while bragging about her sister's accomplishments. Min-jun listened, jaw tightening occasionally, but he let her speak. "What if they were right?" she whispered finally. "What if I am too much?" His hands framed her face, forcing her to look at him. "You are too much. Too beautiful, too talented, too good for them." His thumb traced her bottom lip. "And exactly enough for me. I don't want you smaller, quieter, different. I want you exactly like this." His voice was firm, final. "They don't get to define you anymore. I do, and my definition is perfect." He kissed her then, deep, claiming, reassuring all at once. The kiss deepened, transformed. His hands slid into her hair, tilting her head back as he claimed her mouth with an intensity that made her knees weak. She gasped against his lips, and he swallowed the sound, pulling her impossibly closer. "Min-jun," she breathed. "I've got you," he murmured against her mouth. "I've always got you." He lifted her easily, carrying her to the bedroom. The city lights painted them in silver and shadow as he laid her down gently, reverently, like she was something precious he'd been waiting his whole life to hold. "You're mine," he whispered, hovering over her. "Say it." "Yours," she breathed and pulled him down. What happened next was tender and consuming, passionate and gentle, everything she'd never known she needed. He worshipped every curve, every inch of skin, erasing years of cruel words with his touch, replacing doubt with certainty. And when it was over, when they lay tangled together in the darkness, she finally understood what it felt like to be chosen. Morning came with sunlight streaming through the windows. Zara woke alone, panic immediately flooding her chest. He left. He realized what he'd done. The smell of food drew her to the kitchen. Min-jun stood at the stove, dress shirt rolled to his elbows, preparing breakfast. Korean-style banchan in small dishes, rice, soup, grilled fish. "You're awake." He pulled out a chair. "Come eat." She sat, throat tight with emotion. He served her, watched with satisfaction as she took the first bite. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it. "Day cleared the guest house. Everything's in storage whenever you want it." Another buzz. His expression darkened. "What?" "Social media." He turned the phone toward her. "The wedding hashtag is trending." Videos everywhere, the confrontation, his crew, her family's faces, comments dissecting every moment. "Everyone's going to think I'm—" "Let them think." He took the phone back. "The only opinion that matters is yours and mine, and I think you were magnificent." Her own phone started ringing. Her mom, then Kennedy. She stared at it, frozen. "You don't have to answer," Min-jun said quietly. "Not today." A text from Kennedy appeared. "We need to talk. You embarrassed the whole family." Zara laughed, bitter and broken. "I embarrassed them." Another text from Naomi. "You ruined my wedding. I hope you're happy." Min-jun read over her shoulder, expression going dark and dangerous. He took her phone, typed quickly. "This is Park Min-jun. Any further contact will be considered harassment. Communicate through my attorney if necessary." Sent it, then blocked all their numbers. "You can't just—" "I can, and I did." He set the phone down. "They don't get access to you anymore. You can unblock them later if you want." His hand covered hers. "But not today. Today you heal." 3 days passed. Zara stayed in the penthouse, processing everything. Min-jun worked from home, always nearby, always watching to make sure she was okay. Day reported that Patricia had tried to show up at Zara's catering business. Security had turned her away. Kennedy had attempted to contact Keisha. Min-jun's lawyer had sent a cease and desist. On the third evening, Min-jun found her in the kitchen, staring at nothing. "Get dressed," he said. "We're going out." "I don't think—" "You've been inside for 3 days." His voice was gentle but firm. "Walk with me." 20 minutes later, they were walking through Koreatown, his hand secured around hers. Night vendors calling out specials, neon signs painting the sidewalks in color, life happening around them. They passed his restaurant, the one where they'd had their first date. Zara stopped, looking at it. That's where it started. No. Min-jun turned her to face him. That's where I found what I was looking for. They kept walking, past shops and restaurants and people living their lives. She felt anonymous here, safe. Just another couple walking through the city. Do you think they'll ever understand? She asked. I don't care if they do. His hand tightened on hers. Do you? Long pause. Then, no, I don't. They stopped at a newsstand, magazine covers on display. One caught her eye. Rising Star. Pastry chef Zara Williams takes Manhattan by storm. Her photo on the cover, professional, confident, glowing. Taken in a kitchen. His kitchen, she realized. When did you? She turned to him. Last week before the wedding. He pulled her close. I knew you'd need to see it, to remember who you really are. Her eyes burned. You planned all of this? I told you. He smiled slightly. I've been preparing. I just needed you to be ready to leave. Thank you, she whispered, for coming to get me. He stopped walking, both hands framing her face, thumbs stroking her cheeks. The sounds of Koreatown faded, the lights blurred. Nothing existed except him and her, and this moment. Always. His voice was low, absolute. Every time you call, I will come for you. He kissed her under the streetlights of Koreatown, and Zara Williams finally understood what home felt like. Not a place, not a family name, not approval earned through shrinking. Home was being chosen, being seen, being loved exactly as she was. 6 months later, Min-jun proposed in the same restaurant where they'd had their first date. Zara said yes before he finished asking. The wedding was small, just them, Day, Kesha, and a handful of close friends. No family photos to be excluded from, no one to make her feel like she was taking up too much space. Just Min-jun, looking at her like she'd hung the moon, whispering, mine, as he slid the ring onto her finger. A year after that, she stood in their penthouse kitchen, hand pressed to her stomach, staring at 2 pink lines. Min-jun found her there, frozen. Zara! He crossed to her immediately. What's wrong? She held up the test, voice shaking. I'm pregnant. For 1 heartbeat, 2, he just stared. Then his hands were in her hair, pulling her close, kissing her breathless. We're having a baby, he whispered against her lips, and she felt him smile. Our baby. Are you happy? She asked, tears streaming. Happy? He pulled back, cupping her face. Baby, I've been happy since the night you called me from that parking lot and let me rescue you. His thumb brushed her tears away. This is just more proof that you're mine forever. Their daughter was born on a spring morning, healthy, beautiful, with her mother's eyes and her father's determination. Min-jun held her for the first time with hands that had ended men without hesitation, now impossibly gentle, cradling new life. She's perfect, he whispered. Like her father, Zara murmured, exhausted and glowing. He looked at her then, his wife, the mother of his child, the woman who'd called him from the lowest point of her life and let him build her a new one. No, he said softly, like her mother. And Zara Williams, now Zara Park, finally believed him. Because sometimes family isn't who you're born to. Sometimes it's who shows up when you call, who declares war on anyone who hurts you, who spends 8 months preparing to catch you when you finally choose to fall. Sometimes family is the person who sees you at your most broken and says, you're mine and I'm keeping you. And for Zara, that family was everything.